Today, we will be diving into one of the most obscure disciplines in gymnastics. Aerobic gymnastics is one of the most recently added disciplines, starting around the 1980s and only having its first World Championships in 1990. Today, we'll be talking to someone who is a qualified judge and a gymnast who has competed at the World and European Championships in aerobic gymnastics. I hope you enjoy. How did you get into gymnastics and why aerobic gymnastics specifically?
My sister does gymnastics. All three sisters did gymnastics. They're all older. So it just gradually went through to, I think it was just have everyone in the same place, like drop everyone to the same gym. Everyone's doing a similar thing. I'm guessing I don't remember too much of me doing it when I was younger. I just know that I was there in the building. And yeah, it was just because my sisters did it. I think if it was just me and I was the only boy, I probably would have been put into something else. But yeah.
Fair enough. So what's kept you in it?
Just learning more about it. I had no interest in it at all. Once I had actually gone and learnt some more about it, tried to understand why I wasn't doing so well, rather than just leaving a competition a little bit upset. Then I started to be like, okay, so I had like an actual interest in, and rather than it being, I don't know what they're doing and I have no idea how they do it. Then it was like, that's so impressive. I want to do it, and actually trying the stuff they're doing too, rather than just throw myself into it, completely fall and go, yeah, that's not going to happen. It was the trying the stuff that actually got me interested in it.
Nice. So you'd say understanding it and actually learning about it helped your performances, helped your gymnastics?
Yeah. Well, almost first off, it just helped the interest because there was no interest before the performance side of it. The only way that I cared about it was I didn't want to feel embarrassed. Like I didn't want to walk off embarrassed, but there was no idea of doing good or bad. It was just, if you fall over, that's embarrassing. But anything above that was kind of like did my job, just go. But then once, like you said, once I actually learned what the difference is between the people that are decent and really good and amazing, then I started to think like, oh, like I actually want to get better. Like I want to learn all the cooler stuff.
Nice. So yeah, there was a very significant like turning point. Was there anything specifically that you learned, that you found out, that made you that was like one of the biggest reasons as to why you actually gained so much interest?
It was more that I just started to watch the competitions that had the best people. I was sort of told to watch them, which then made me think like, well, yeah, again, I'm not interested. I can't just start being interested because I'm being told to be. When I chose to start watching those people, I was then like, well, okay, that's really impressive. And I think when I was trying like I said, like when I was trying all the stuff they were doing, that was a 50-50 of I either go, that's not possible for me, it's not going to happen, I'll try something else. And I think instead I was then like, no, like I want to be able to do this, like all the like higher difficulty stuff. And that was my focus the whole time. Like we have it judged on artistic and execution too, and then difficulty. I just completely ignored the first two and went, I just want to work on the difficulty. That will be the bit that will make me enjoy the training. And if that comes, then I can track back and work on the other things. But if I just worked on those first two, I just wouldn't have been interested.
Fair enough. Yeah, so we'll get a bit onto the judging, the specific skills, things like that in a bit, but more about like specifically your own career. What have been some of the highlights for you?
So I started off at quite like a low level, like would score quite low, didn't do that well. So for me, even just qualifying once to any world championships, European championships was like, it was always impossible. It was never going to happen. But I had accepted it. I qualified in 2021 to go to a world championships, which was then cancelled because of COVID. Then couldn't trial for the European championships the same year because I tore my ACL. And then that was a full acceptance of, it's not happening. Like I was then 18 or 19 and I was like, it's okay. Like happens for some people, doesn't happen for other people. And then after that, I went to world championships in 2022 individually and came, I think about 13th, 14th. European championships a year after. I'm pretty sure I was 10th. World championships, European championships the year after that as well. So started to get into a routine of qualifying and doing decently, which I didn't really like accept it at the time, but just being there was massive for me. Obviously, once you're there, you're like, okay, I want more. I want to like step up a bit, but I've had to appreciate that just being there is like huge for me. So I think for me, even though there's specific things that I'm happy with that I've done, just qualifying is the best thing for me.
I mean, you've just said there that you went from not believing that you could really even make European teams, or that that was your last chance, to then going to a World Championships. How did that happen?
I think it's more that, so in lockdown, that made me kind of think that, like, okay, that's the first knockback. Just before lockdown, I was starting to get to a point where I was close to being good enough, just good enough to get there, not contend or anything like that, but just to get on the flight and go to the trip. But once I got better and better and better, I think in my head, I started to think, like, as much as I'm not there, I'm starting to be at that level. So as much as I tell myself, like, you haven't been yet, it might not happen, that was more just to try to, like, protect myself of, if you don't make it, don't be too upset. Like, you know where you started from. Some people start from, like, way up here. You're starting from there, going a bit up, a bit down. Like, you have no idea, like, where it's going to go. And I think I just kind of had to trust that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. There was no, like, I will make it, I will be on the team. It was just, if it will happen, it will, but I can't ruin my life over saying I will 100% make it and then not end up actually getting there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of dealing with it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you don't make teams, when you don't get selected for things, like, sometimes there just isn't anything you can do. I mean, if it's been and done, there's nothing you can do. So
Yeah.
you could just on to the next, I suppose. So a bit on to aerobic gymnastics specifically, which we haven't really talked about at all. For those in the audience who have never seen it, never understood it, how would you describe it?
If I tell people now that are my age, I just say to them, it's dance. It's called gymnastics, but it's dance. You have, like, elements of gymnastics. You have, like, bits of, like, acro that you can put into it, but really it's dance with extra things put into it as well. It's really high energy. It's really, once you understand it, it is really fun to watch. It's fun to be, like, a part of. But when I'm telling someone about it, it's easier to understand if you think of it as it's like a 1 minute 30 dance. And if you're from gymnastics, you'll see certain things and go, oh yeah, I know that. Like, little bits of the routine will be familiar. And that's where we get the gymnastics side
That
of it.
makes sense. So obviously you've said how it borrows different elements from things like acro, things like, well, other disciplines. What makes it unique?
I think it's more that it uses everything. Like I said, it's really high energy, but it's like the involvement from everyone. You could be your first ever competition at our lowest level, and you've got 60 people from your club screaming, like, cheering on for you. Or you could be top 5 in the world, and you've got those same 60 people screaming for you. Like, it's just everyone. There's no like quiet point of the competition. It's just everyone's constantly backing each other.
So what actually makes up a routine? Because you said it's a lot of dance elements and things like that. Like, what should people be looking out for within routines?
So you've got 8 counts in a routine. You've got one block of just aerobic steps, which are a couple of different things, but you have to have them as a block of 4 at any point in the routine. There'll be different, like, transitions, which will be from feet to the floor or floor up onto your feet. It can be between elements. You could land an element and go straight into something. Artistry wise, you need to have a song that's got, like, a theme. It could be like a character, a type of music, or a film, or anything like that. You kind of have to embody that quite a lot. It's not just put a song on and do whatever you want in the background to it. You do have to kind of get across something with the routine and a couple of the transitions too.
So I guess it's kind of like, I mean, things like acro, things like women's artistic floor routines, that you can often have quite a bit of, like, storytelling within the routine. Would you say it's similar?
Yeah, I'd say with artistic, it's more, if I've got it right, the element side of it, and then almost a little bit of a break, and then into the more artistic side, stop a second, and then straight into the element side. Ours is just a constant. There's no stop in between. It's really high energy, and it's just to keep everything going. There's not a break at all. We just carry on. It's a little bit, it's less, it's the elements that we're doing aren't as difficult, but it's nonstop the whole time.
So do you just do it as an individual? Do you have a team aspect?
I've done a couple of different routines, like, over the last couple of years, but at the moment I'm doing an individual, and then I'm doing a group, which is 5 of us. It's 3 girls and then 2 boys.
Nice. Okay, cool. So how do those differ from each other?
So like I said, you have to have like a theme or like a character or a song or something in the background. For the individual one, it's super high energy. It's the theme that my coach picked was like a Spanish matador, like the bullfighters. So it's really quick. It's like a Spanish style of choreography. So as much as it's the same set of steps outside of your block of 4, you have to have 3 per 8 count. But then outside of that, you can do different parts to your choreography. So that's where you can start to add parts to the theme. So you'll have your 3 steps in your counts of 8 while also having something, for me, something Spanish related in the rest of those 8 counts. And in our group, it's a theme of Mozart, the composer. So it's then a lot slower. It's a lot like clearer. It can be quite like fluid at times, but the 2 routines side by side look completely different, but it's made up of the same elements, choreography, transitions and everything. It's just that when you look at them next to each other, if one went and then the other one went, they'd look completely different.
Yeah, makes sense. What makes it harder than people might initially realize?
I think it's the fitness side of it. And as much as you look at bits and go, oh yeah, I know what that is, that's familiar. It's doing the elements and the transitions that you'd see and that you'd recognize while being so tired. One of the things that we have is like a pike to push. So it's just like a half turn jump. You'd have like a pike shape in the air, and then you turn back over and land in a push-up, which by itself, yourself or other artistic gymnasts could probably do fairly easily. We would have to do, if we wanted more points for it, like a round off straight into a flick, straight into that jump. And that would be obviously on the wooden floor. That could be in the middle of your routine, the end of your routine. And like I said, when you've been non-stop for a minute, minute and 10, minute and 20, and then you do that, that's then where it starts to be difficult. And it's not just getting it done. As you know, it's got to be perfect when you do it. So it's losing all of your fitness through the routine and still having to maintain it being executed and done in the right way. If you don't have the right technique to an element, you just instantly lose the skill. So there's things that make it harder, but it's the fitness side of it. That can, if you're not prepared and you've not got the right training in for it, you can really look tired by the end of it.
More onto sort of the judging side of things. So obviously earlier you mentioned that there was an artistic or artistry?
Artistic, yeah.
Artistic execution difficulty score. So can you go through each of those and explain what they mean in the context of an aerobic routine?
Yeah. So the artistic, it's made up of 5 parts and it's up to two whole marks per category. So it's your music, your dance content, your general content, your artistry, and your performance. As much as that varies for different people, you've got certain things to focus on. I'd say my main thing would be the performance side of it. You'd leave your coach to look at the other parts and how the routine's made up. You cover enough of the floor that you've got the right things in there, but your side of it as a gymnast is the performance side, and not looking, as much as you're looking robotic in a clean way and executed, that you're not just ticking off going for a routine, you're like making it almost look easy as you're doing it. You're performing, you're like connecting with like the judges, the crowd. Then you've got the execution. That's sort of taken a turn where they're much more harsh on it now, which it's in a good way. They're starting to really take marks off of people if they're doing slight errors, large errors. They've made it like a bigger gap between what you can deduct for. So rather than it being at somewhere between 1 and 5 or 1 and 8, it's between 1 and a whole mark, which has then helped where it's more of a range in between as well. You can be like up to 0.8 without actually falling in the routine. So if you're just doing it technically wrong with bad knees and bad feet, you can get up to 0.8 on every single element. So that's now focused in properly on people being very well executed, not sort of executed. And then you've got the difficulty. So you've got 8 elements per routine. That varies. That can be in an individual routine. It's always divided by 2. In the partnerships, which will be the trios and the groups. If it's with a combination of boys and girls, you're divided by 1.9. And then when it's all girls, it's divided by 1.8. So you could have a trio of 3 girls against a trio of 3 boys. But when it's 3 guys of an artistic background doing planches, flares, and all things like that, up against 3 girls that are from a rhythmic background that might not be able to put up that high of a difficulty, that's where we've got that difference in the way the difficulty is divided, to sort of close the gap a little bit and put it more back to the side of the artistic and the execution, rather than just put on 3 guys that can do every element and then they wipe the floor with everyone.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's quite interesting. So you mentioned there was eight elements, and obviously the dance is what links it all together. So you mentioned before how there's too much like technical wording. So if you've got 8 elements,
That's all right. I'll stick to one set of wording for each things. So you've got elements, which are 8 of them. So that
Yep.
can be like the how do I go for artistic? Planche, flare, the horizontal turn that the girls do on the beam. We can do that as an element. The split change thing that the girls
Mm,
do on in
yeah.
artistic. You can do that or a different version of that. A manner hold, or you can press to a manner and then turn out to a push
Mm,
up, or like cut through to a push up. Like they're all elements. You have 8 of them. Then you've got your AMP, your choreography. I feel like choreography is easier to remember because
yeah.
it's dance choreography. 9, it's called 9 8 counts of it. And then what would be the other bit? And then your transitions.
Right.
So it's elements, choreography, transitions.
Right. So the transitions don't count as elements.
No.
So say if you did
Transitions
the
could be
run.
like a free cartwheel and then like go to the floor afterwards. That would be like a transition.
Right, so like the round off flick, then the half in pike half to the floor.
Uh,
That would be just a transition. That would be 2 elements in transition.
so that would count as an element.
Mm,
So weirder thing. So that pike where you land in push up,
yeah.
that's worth 0.8. But
Mm,
every time you connect acro with an element, it's an extra 0.1. So
mm,
you go round off 0.1, flick 0.1, pike 0.8. So then you get a whole mark for it. But I could then do a round off, I don't know, a round off tuck back, land on one leg and sort of backward roll and turn out of it. And then I don't get any extra marks for it. That's just one of my transitions. Or you can do like a side summy. That's one of the things that I do. I'll do like a side summy into like a crouch, which no extra difficulty marks. That's just a transition. But then it
yeah.
depends. Like if you're just doing like a tuck back and then crouching down to the floor, that's not, it's hard to do a tuck back, but it's not impressive. Like most of the gymnasts in the room can do a tuck back. So you'd have to make it creative for them to actually credit you something for it.
Right. But if they're not giving it any difficulty, like if they're not adding any points to it, what changes if you just do a crap transition?
So that's where on the 5 things that you're marked out of up to 2
Mhm.
on your artistic, that's where your general content would go up to it. So it's
Right.
your choreography, how complex it is, and that's how complex your transitions are as well. And they'll
Alright.
both sort of come into play with that. So if you're then, it's not officially done like this, but it's almost like it's from 1 to 2 that you get judged on in each section, and it's almost 0.5 a piece for the choreography and the transitions. So if you've got 0 to 0.5 to judge how difficult everyone's transitions are, if you see someone and they're just not doing anything difficult to the floor, which is, we would watch like artistic and see you land something and you would almost, is it called like a, I don't know what it is, where you do something down to the floor, but you would do like that jump where you would just like land on your stomach and then come
Yeah.
back up. If someone did that, we'd kind of be like, that's not a transition, especially when you've got like music playing and like everything connects. If someone landed something and then just stood there, jumped onto like their stomach and pressed off, we'd be like, that doesn't flow. That's not like continuous. But if you like landed a tumble, as soon as your feet went onto the floor, jumped back, had like a neck spring to then go out into something else, that's then like a didn't expect that. That's not weird, but that's weird. So
Yeah.
that's impressive. The more impressive things for us is when you just don't expect it at all. It's just
Mm.
something just happened in the middle of a routine, and then that's where you can get some decent artistic from it.
To be fair, I don't actually know if this is actually going to be good content, but I'm learning. Do you think that some of the judging can be quite subjective?
Oh yeah. And I mean, people would complain about that and say that, like, well, the judges just don't like my routine, but it's subjective. The artistic side of it is, the execution isn't, the difficulty isn't. It's only the artistic side of it. But that's what you have to take into account when you make the routine and make the transitions. If you look exactly like everyone's looked for the last 20 years, and it's the same type of transitions that you're doing, you're leaving yourself open to getting a lower score. You might score completely fine, and judges might be like, oh, I know those transitions, they're familiar, and we would call them good ones, so it's fine. But you never know when the judges are going to go, I've seen 6 people do that today and I'm just bored of it. That's not creative. And then you could just get marked down from it. Or
Mm.
you could have that one coach that would go, I hate that. I don't put that in my routines. And you end up with a lower artistic because you've got that one judge that just doesn't like 2, 3 of the transitions that you did. But again, that's all down to your style. It's down to what you how you make the routine up, how you actually perform it as well. You could have a really good transition that you just don't do properly, and then you'll get the artistic up, you'll be upset about it, but it's how you performed it, not just the actual content of what's in there.
So how much of that comes down to you and how much of that is your coach? So in terms of the elements, in terms of transitions, in terms of the choreography?
I'd say because I'm older, and because, like I said, for a long time, I was almost like fixated on the difficulty side of it. I think my coach actually lets me do a lot of that side of it myself. And she'd 100% step in and say, you're not doing that. Like, this has to come out. But I wouldn't feel like I have to sit down and fully discuss, like, this is why I want to change this for this. These are the benefits to it. It would just be can I change this element for this? Or can I upgrade it to this one? And I'm pretty sure she would just be happy for it to go ahead like that.
So what does training look like for you? Because obviously it's very different to a lot of gymnastics. It's much more dance focused. You've got a harder floor as well. So obviously you don't know how I train. You don't know how artistic in general trains, but what does it look like for you?
Same set of warm up. I feel like all disciplines do a fairly similar warm up to get themselves started with all like the pulse raising stretch, like all the body prep stuff, but more of actually training the routine and training the elements. We've got it at the moment where I've been landing things quite poorly executed. So before I even go on to anything else, I'm having to show my coach 5 of each element that land in that way in a push up, perfectly landed. And that could take 5 minutes. That could be 45 minutes. So as long as she sees 5 that are completely perfect, then I can move on to the next bits. But we just run through the routines. Our coach might sit down and separate our routine and say, this is your first quarter of it. I need you to think of these things or work on these things. But where our routine's a minute and a half, it's the layout of that and getting us fit enough to do it. That's where the different planning comes into it. Some clubs will just the week before the competition, they'll then start doing a full routine. For us, it would be the first minute of the routine. You would go back to the start of the song, and then once it gets to 30 seconds in, you would do the last minute of the routine. So rather than doing a minute and a half worth of routine, you're doing 2 minutes worth of routine. Really tiring, really difficult. Or you would do the second half of your routine all out as well as you can. And then as soon as you finish, get back up, go to where you start, and then do a full routine. I don't know if different disciplines do anything like that, but where we're so on the side of cardio, we need to get to a competition and feel like a full routine is easy. Obviously, we want to know the content of it's easy, but we need to know that I can get to the end and I can try as hard as I possibly can. And I won't be tired, especially with the adrenaline. I'm not going to feel tired at the end. Like, I'll never get to a certain point and go, I've got nothing left to give.
That's quite good. I mean, we don't do the same thing. We might have done a similar thing when we were younger, like doing 2 routines like back to back. But with the difficulty of the routines now, and they're not so endurance focused, you just need to get from start to finish. Like, and by design, a lot of our routines are harder skills at the front, easier skills at the back, just so you can get through them easier anyway. Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense to do it like that. So yeah, maybe a little bit, but like we do multiple routines. Like when we're on routine prep, then we do multiple routines a day, things like that. And do you often like just work skills in isolation?
So you would before you go on to the routines, you would have to go through all of the elements. So specifically, I said I'm doing the ones where I'm having to up the execution on it. But other than that, you do maybe 3, 4, 5 of each of the other elements in the routine. You might do a routine which is just the arms of the choreography. You would just be stood still. You might have your music playing or you might have nothing playing. And you just go over all of the arms that you have alongside of the legs for the 8 counts of choreography. And then the transitions as well. It's more, there will be people that go to training, stretch, and you'll get it in every discipline. They'll just chuck out a routine, get it done, just hang around for a bit. And it's more, how much more than them do you want to do? Because it's just going to reflect on the score for your execution, your difficulty, even your artistic as well. We've got quite a lot of freedom at our club where as good and as bad as it sounds, if you wanted to do nothing, you could just do nothing. But you've got enough people around that are doing a lot of work, getting a lot done, that you kind of get the hint that if you're falling a bit behind, then you're like, no, I need to get something done now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, being like pushed by peers, pushed by the teammates is quite a good thing anyway. So what about like things like new skills? How long would it take to learn something new? Like when you were looking at the skills that you wanted to try from those videos of like the top people in competition, how long would it have taken you to sort of learn those sort of skills and put them in routines?
So it's weird because I'd count myself as being a lot less talented than a lot of the other gymnasts, as in current gymnasts, younger gymnasts, older gymnasts. So when I want to learn an element, usually it would take me about 6 months to learn it. A lot of people could just on the spot watch a video, learn it. We've got people at my club that could just watch an element or see me do something and just copy it and do it. But I'd say for me, it does take quite a long time. From the beginning of this year, I decided that I wanted to have a planche in my routine. That took around a month and a half, 2 months, but that wasn't learning a technique. That was just conditioning it, getting it stronger. So that one wasn't so bad. When it comes to learning a technique and learning that perfectly, one of them was a B twist, and that took me, I don't even know how long. I'm going to say like 2-3 years, which a lot of people could just chuck out and just do it. But I was coming from a position of I can't do many things in the sport. And the more I tried it, the more the technique got wrong, the more it got corrected, the more it stayed wrong. So it really, really varies. And because the routine's so constant, you could have a perfect routine, a perfect technique outside of the routine, play the music, get halfway through it, go to do your butterfly and just completely fall on your face because you've lost the fitness side of it. You're a bit fatigued, you go to do it and your technique's well off. So that's the difficulty with it. I've even got elements now that I'm ready to compete, wish I was competing them, that are of a high difficulty. But because of where they're going to be placed in the routine, I just physically can't do them yet. So it's not just getting cardio fitter, it's actually in terms of strength, being fit enough to get halfway through a routine and still fully press yourself. So that's the side of it. You can be perfect as a one-off at the side of the floor, but it's can you do it halfway through routine, end of the routine, or does it have to be start the music and the very first thing that you do? Because you can only do that with one element anyway. Once that's out the way, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same with artistic. Like, I want to chuck in new skills all the time. Like on a floor routine, you can power down if your first tumble, like if you've got one tumble that you really want to put in and everything else is relatively easy for you, that's fine. But like if you've got two big tumbles and you don't know which one goes first, which one goes second, like after that first one, your legs might already be dead.
So
So yeah,
that's the thing as well. Like for us, I'd say a seriously high difficulty is somewhere between 3.5 and 3.7. That would be like the top difficulty. It doesn't mean that you are at the top. It just means that in that respect of the score, you're at the top. At the moment, I'd be on 3.4. And if I were to put in two changes, I think I'd be on about 3.65 or 3.7. But you can say that as many times as you like, but until it's in the routine and it's happening, it doesn't exist. So if you talk to the gymnasts from every other country, they can do 3.8 and 3.9. But when they walk on the floor, the difficulty that pops up is 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, because that's what they can actually compete and that they can execute on the day.
100%. I mean, that's just a thing with gymnastics as a whole, I think. Well,
Yeah.
a lot of sports, really. Like a lot of skill-based sports, like it's one thing to do it in training and then you got to do it 100 times before you can do it in competition. So
Yeah.
it takes a while.
It's almost where it has to be easy in training. We've got it where, a cork. Do you know what an off axis is? So it's you do off of one step. You can do it off more, but off of one step, you would do an off axis.
Yeah.
And rather than going back to your feet, you would straighten out in the air and land in a push up. That as a rotation. And again, it's if you dip slightly to the side, you've lost 0.3 or 0.5.
Jesus.
If you're landing with slightly bent knees, you've lost 0.3, 0.5. Like you're doing it. You have to do it perfectly. And all of that is just during a routine. You just have to, after you finish the 8th step of your choreography, your first step into the next bit is stepping into an off-axis landing and push-up. It's like, and when I was younger, I was almost getting annoyed. I was like, this is so difficult. Like I'd like score it twice and then lose it at one competition and then score it another 5 times, then lose it another time. Like I was getting so frustrated with it. But when I was training it as if I fall, it's not that bad. Like it's a difficult element, but no, like you can think it's as difficult as you want, but if you're not training it to be perfect, it's not going to work and it's going to go wrong eventually. Like it catches up with you at some point.
Yeah, I saw this post at one point. It was like in an 8-skill routine, if you're 90% going to stay on each of your skills, then the success rate of the routine is like less than 50% or something. Like it's tough.
Yeah. The
Um,
thing is, like, even just saying that, like, going into a routine thinking like, "Oh, yeah, in my head, it doesn't sound bad that, "Oh, I'm 90% sure that I'd score, like, each element individually, like, I'm 90% sure I'd score this, 90% sure I'd score this." That isn't good enough when you think of it properly.
yeah,
'Cause you're more than likely to drop 1, but you'd, in training, be like, "Yeah, I'm like 90% sure," and you'd almost say it like it's a good thing. But while you're up against people that can't even understand how they could lose their element, like, it's just, "I can do it and I'm gonna score it." Like, why? What do you mean I could lose it? Like,
yeah,
that's not a thing.
yeah. Yeah, there are some crazy gymnasts out there. That's true across
Yeah.
all the disciplines. So more about sort of the gymnastics world as a whole, I suppose. Do you think aerobic specifically needs more recognition?
I think it's more that we're now catching up to being something that people want to see. I think if I watch like 10 years ago, you've got really small, like tight shorts on for what all the guys have to wear. You've got really like feminine routines, which everybody had. The elements you could do, like boys could do jumps and then land like in splits. Just little things like that, that at the time the sport had been doing it for 30, 40 years. Like it didn't sound like anything strange. But then the more and more generations go on, I was looking at it as someone that did it where it was, I don't want to wear that leotard, don't want to have that music, I don't want to land in splits. I'm a boy. It's not nice. Like all of these things come together where you would watch old aerobics and just straight away be like, nah, this just isn't it. But I feel like we're now going more into a direction where I think now the best people are watchable to the general public. I think the bits in between are getting to a much better level where the general public could watch it. Where I'd say before, the best people didn't even want to see, and the people below that and at the bottom, people really didn't want to see because there were all different types of routines and leotards that people would take one look at and be like, no, that's not gymnastics as I know it. And the more that we start to go towards that, the more that other people are watching aerobics and actually appreciating it. You can see it in like videos get posted and the comments that are left are much more positive, where I think people are more likely to leave a negative comment anyway. You're going to get negativity on a load of different things that you do, but there's so much more positivity when aerobics is spoken about now as opposed to before.
Yeah, I mean, negative comments is just the internet, innit?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. But the only thing is before, like, it was kind of valid.
yeah, before it was warranted.
Yeah, like, I don't even there's not even anything here, but, like, the stuff that we were having to wear, like, unofficially, like, you would just look at as a boy and you're like, I'm not doing that." Like, even if you were more feminine, you were still looking at it going, "That's not happening." Like, I'm not putting that on.
Yeah.
And obviously you still put it on and compete anyway, but like you then think that if I was against it and I'm in the sport, what not even mates at school just look at it and go like, if that's what you want to do, then that's fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think gymnasts as a whole, like especially male gymnasts, get teased a lot in school for wearing leotards and things like that already. Like,
That
and I don't think that helps.
I couldn't understand why I didn't get more of that at school. Like we do such a feminine discipline, and it was, you know, I had it where like an old video from when I was really young of me doing a routine was put onto YouTube because it was like from the British Championships. So embarrassing. But if it got played or like anything like that, there was like a 2 or 3 day thing of like, oh my God, look at this. Like, there's no way that's gonna. And then after that, it was more like close friends would kind of like show it to me and like have like a joke about it. And that was it. Because the thing is, you'd also then 2 weeks later go into PE, do a fitness test, and then you're like 4 times ahead of everyone else on all the different tests. And then it's kind of like, oh, okay, fair enough. Like dancing around, but at least you can actually do stuff as well. Like that,
No,
that was like the one saving thing where we were so conditioned when we were younger. Same coaches I have now, but like with how we were training before, that if we went into any other sport or if we were doing anything else, like it was either so much easier to do the sport or we were just fit enough to like we would do like five-a-side football and you could just sprint around as long as possible. You would just never get tired. Or like I'd play 11-a-side football and I just play right back and just sprint up and down the entire game. And because all we did was run to help our cardio for gymnastics. So then you play football and you're like, why is everyone who'd been like out the night before? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, why are you guys tired?
why is everyone panting?
Yeah, exactly. It's only the 10th minute.
A bit of a different sort of question. What keeps you motivated?
It's a bit weird because I think before, like in the last year, 2 years, it's been the next step. So I said earlier about how like now I'm just appreciating that from where I started, qualifying is my achievement. Like just getting there, getting to competitions. That's what I take as a really big achievement. But for the last like 2 years, I wanted to step up. I wanted to do the next things and make finals and stuff like that. And I think I've just started to appreciate how hard that is, how many hours I'd have to put in, how much work I'd have to put in, how much work I'd have to put in at home as well, diet, everything like that. And as much as now I've taken all of those steps to get towards it, before it was almost, I'd say 2024, 2025, I was working on effort to expectation. And I've now flipped it where it's just effort and expectation. And I think being that way around is really disappointing because you don't get the achievement you want. You're upset about it, but you're not recognizing that you're not putting in enough work for it. So all that I've tried to do for this year in a motivating way is train as hard as I can, and what comes from it comes from it. And that's sort of the focus for it. There's not like a set goal of I want to do this. I've kind of felt like that doesn't help. I know in the back of my mind like what I want to do, but realistically I just need to think of it as if I'm working hard, the right things will come. And as long as I'm only focusing on putting in that right amount of work, it doesn't, I shouldn't bother myself with where I place, what I score, what other people score. Like it's just what I'm doing and like where I want to get to.
I think that's some good advice as a whole, to be fair. So what advice would you give your younger self? Would it be similar to what you just said?
It's really weird because quite often, if I think back to it, I do think I, at a much younger age, should have just left it and not done gymnastics. I love it. I think it's great, but I had to eventually love it. And there was a long period of time where I really didn't like it, like really hated it. And I'm still happy to have passed that and been where I am now. And been on all the things that I've done. But like I said, you get to a point as well where you're achieving things that you didn't think you could before, that were literally impossible to yourself before, and yet you're still disappointed about that next step. And I think some people are cut out for super competitive sport and they just have it in their head that they don't lose, they only win, and that's just how it works. Some people have the best run through where they're incredible when they're younger. They're incredible now. And I, as much as I still train hard, I still back myself, still do all of that, I don't count myself as one of those people. And I don't think that affects competitions or anything. That's just how I see it. And I think if I put my energy elsewhere when I was younger, I think I could have been happier with the achievements that I would have made somewhere else from start to finish, where it's just been the last 6-ish years of really appreciating where I am, mixed in with the 4 or 5 years before that of really, really hating where I was. So weirdly, it's almost, and as much as I so openly love training, competing, judging, and everything in the sport, I do actually think if I went back, I would not do it, which is really strange.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you had to endure that for 4 or 5 years, like it's not going to be a pleasant experience for anyone, really.
Yeah.
All right, last question. Who do you know that would be a good fit for the podcast?
Weirdly enough, I'd actually say my sister would be quite good. She did aerobics for ages. She used to do artistic before it, now coaches like little ones for artistic, but did like everything as a gymnast. So like went to worlds, went to Europeans, went to European Olympics back when they did that with aerobics. They're doing it again next year, but like went and got like all the Olympic kit and stuff. But it's literally just a female version of me, but I'd say would probably be a bit more energetic and answer a few more things.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
That's okay.
All good. Well, really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed answering some of my questions, shedding more light on maybe a less known discipline of gymnastics. So thank you very much for coming on. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed listening to the Game of Gymnastics podcast. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.